it in almost global event. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Faraja, who she can take you through in terms of Ndoto Hub and of course, what they have done so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Innocent. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, our distinguished guests. It's a great honor to be here with you this morning as we are launching this challenge, and especially for Ndoto Hub to be part of this challenge and to find, hopefully, innovative, resilient, we can support. We really want to look at the numbers. Currently, almost 70% of the informal sector to the formal sector. Our nation's blueprint for industrialization and economic welfare is requiring that we have women and businesses formalizing their enterprises, and that gives them access to so much more, to capital, to markets, to partnerships, but also to just be part of the wider tax code that we expect to have for our country's economic and social welfare. So we really want them to be supported, and we hope this is one of the programs that can support through the challenge. We do this by having cohorts. So we run cohorts based on particular themes. A theme could be agribusiness, a theme could be beauty and lifestyle, a theme could be, now we're having tourism, for instance, a theme could be nutrition. So our cohorts are based on themes, and we will admit 20 to 25 women per cohort. And when they come on board, the first thing we do, of course, is a baseline to understand their needs as a person, but also to understand the level of their enterprise. Extremely tailor-made, is contextually developed based on our frequent surveys that we do in the market to understand the women needs in the market to thrive as individuals, but to also thrive in their enterprises. And the curriculum is ever changing. So what we have, for instance, as a curriculum in the beginning, the framework may remain the same, but we constantly adapt and evolve it to meet the customer's needs, because the market is ever changing. And so through this curriculum, we train them on personal development and business development, but covering 12 weeks. When they come in, they most likely have an idea which has proved concept, it's a prototype, and we take them through the 12 weeks of capacity building, and by the end of the 12 weeks, we expect them to have a ready-for-market product or a service, and they're able to now pitch this ready-for-market product or service before an audience, and usually we'll have a winner or some few winners, and they may or may not attract funding. We also have our own seed capital to some of the winners, but ultimately we expect them to leverage, through the knowledge they have received, to leverage the markets, to leverage the opportunities, and the partnerships. So after 12 weeks, we have graduates, and in the last 2.5 years of our programs, we've had almost 60% of our enterprises formalized, and now being substantial businesses in the market that can really leverage the knowledge and information they received from the hub. So again, this is a great opportunity for us to really support more young women. And the interesting thing about this challenge is we really want to have close to 60% of the entrepreneurs to be young women. So we really want to encourage everyone out there to spread the word and let's have more young women apply. The sectors are very diverse. If you look at tourism, it's a very interesting thing to get into the sector and and amplify their existence and their enterprises. If you look at agribusiness, we have Adija here today. It's the same thing. It's a sector which has a lot of women, but again, they're in the informal sector, and we really want them to be in the formal sector, just as Adija, and get all the benefits from being a formal business and improving their lives and the lives of their beneficiaries. So thank you so much. We look forward to the program, and if you have any question about gender in enterprises, if you have any question about startups, if you have any question about innovation in social development, please feel free to ask me. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Faraja and Innocent. As a young person and a woman, I feel so much represented by the dream of Ndoto Hub and Seed Stars. Given the fact that Seed Stars works with youth in startups and Ndoto Hub invest much in women, so I feel so much represented. The young people online, those who are here, we are represented. Asante sana, Faraja and Innocent again. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Innocent and Faraja. Thank you so much. Now we are going to using technology, and that is the opening remarks, which was to be delivered by the Director General of COSTECH, but he has sent in a representative who will be asked today to give us an opening remarks. Our awesome, amazing Dr. Dr. Salha Kasim. Dr. Salha Kasim is the Director for Center of Development and Technology Transfer and Innovation from COSTECH. Dr. Salha Kasim, karibu sana.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to send the apology from Dr. Nungu. Of Dr. Nungu, Deputy Ambassador, Royal Embassy of Netherlands, UNIF representatives, Economical and Social Research Foundation representatives, Innovation Ecosystem stakeholders. Good morning. I would like to begin by thanking the development partner supporting this GDP Tanzania, the Royal Embassy of Netherlands, Economic and Social Research Foundation, ESRF, Human Development Innovation Fund, HDIF, and the implementing partners, Seed Space Dar es Salaam and Ndoto Hub, as you embark on the nature of the people participating in this launch and your different but very much relevant areas of expertise which you bring into the discussion. At COSTECH, we understand that the key to the success of such needs are met with the most relevant consumer-friendly experiences and approaches. The key reason, the great honor to be part of it earlier, the official homage enterprise also involved. The find solution into what could work in the new norm. We have learned about new business. As a newly coined edge goes, not to let a crisis go to waste, but pick the best approaches. Learn from them and highlighted how the private sector is the engine of the modern economy. To quote his words, COSTECH, on behalf of the government, continues to pledge its support to the private sector and engage in partnership that support the advancement of both indigenous as well as adopted and contextualized innovative solution, promoting economic growth and social welfare. We value the role of development partners, continuous trust in the government systems, policies, and strategies, as well aspired for the common goal to improve the lives of Tanzanians and the prosperity. COSTECH's unique support on research and development and innovation, countrywide innovation, mechanism and support, and multi-sectoral coordination on science, technology, and innovation endeavors. I wish you all success, and I look forward to the winning startup out of the challenges. Thank you very much all. May God bless you. May God bless Tanzania, and may God bless the whole world and the people. Thank you very much.
Another huge round of applause for Dr. Salha, please. Asante sana, Dr. Salha. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Salha. Moving on to our next agenda for the program is a representation from Faraja. Faraja, I would like to bring you back on stage again, and she's going to tell us about the program. Faraja, karibu sana.
Thank you. It's me again. As any other crisis, we really look at a challenge as an opportunity to actually innovate. And our hope is those startups that or maybe they had to update their organization's culture, or perhaps they had to find a new market, building their innovation capacity, building their personal resilience, business resilience, but also learning and supporting them to understand the market dynamics. Ultimately, we believe that these startups did the scaling or the pivoting or perhaps the updating of their programs mainly because they were responding to customers' needs. So if they are responding to customers' needs, there has to be an innovation on their part, and perhaps they had to go back to the drawing board to build a resilient model that hopefully is crisis-proof. So the reason why this challenge has to happen, and I personally think it is very timely. There had been so many new ideas and updates in enterprises, and I think in both public and private sector, as a response to COVID specifically, but I feel that those updates or those changes could actually set a great foundation to understand how to contextually set up our own enterprises and our own innovations and our own initiatives that ideally should be crisis-proof, that they should be able to survive in any sort of through a challenge. So as the challenge is happening, that should not be a roadblock. It's just a hiccup, but then they should be able to overcome that. So this challenge is really looking at understanding and bringing to the front those startups that we can actually all learn from, hopefully support, emulate, and find ways of scaling up those business models that are resilient and have recovered from the COVID challenge. But again, COVID is just one of them. It could be any challenge or any crisis, but they need to be supported. They need to be amplified. We need to document the best practices and best practices that work in our market, that have proven that they are meeting the needs of our customers or the public or the communities in this market, and setting them up for strategic partnerships and collaboration that can benefit everyone. So yes, it's an exciting challenge, as I said earlier. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faraja. Another huge round of applause for Faraja, please. Asante sana. Before we move on to the next agenda, I would like to recap what Faraja said, that COVID is one of the challenges. We don't know what is coming next. Hopefully nothing bad happens anymore, but we don't know. And that's the reason why our program will involve a resilience program that will help the startups to learn how to survive when such kind of challenges happens. Moving on to the next agenda, I would like to call on stage a trailblazer, amazing lady, Iku Lazaro, who is the co-founder of Shule Direct and Daughter Hub, also a CEO of Daughter Hub. Iku will introduce us to what the panel for today is about and the panelists. Iku, karibu sana. For the purpose of our audience online.
I'm excited to be here today, and I'm really excited to see you all here today. I hope we also have a lot of people joining us online. I'm actually excited to talk about the core of this challenge. We have amazing entrepreneurs who are here, who we believe are demonstrating what we're talking about or what this challenge is trying to address. We have entrepreneurs who've proven to be resilient, who've actually demonstrated how you can recover from such a crisis as COVID. We have Ms. Hadija Jabir. Hadija is an accountant who turned into an award-winning farmer and internationally recognized agri-entrepreneur. She is the co-founder and managing director into the horticulture business, and their produce is sold locally and internationally to markets in Europe. I believe you have the Netherlands here, who are your customers as well, which is also known as Malkia Wanguvu. Hadija serves as a board member for the Farm for the Future. She's also a member of the Executive Committee for Women Leaders Network. She also wishes to create more Hadijas, so she's engaged highly in training. All, please give a warm round of applause for Hadija. Thank you. My second panelist is also a very familiar face. She goes by the name Nisha. We also refer to her sometimes as Mama Ndege. Nisha is the and CEO of Ubongo, Africa's leading kids edutainment company. With over 17 million kids across Africa learn with Ubongo's popular animated TV and radio programs, Akili and Me and Ubongo Kids. Nisha is a social entrepreneur with a background in media and science and a passion for education. She's a mentor for Twiga Stars, the Tanzanian women football team. At Ubongo, she's the lead visionary, strategist, executive producer, screenwriter, to get the products made, tested, and released to kids. She's also a forward or a winger. She plays football, and she's also trained with the Twiga Stars as well. Karibu Nisha. Last but not least, we have our final panelist all the way from Arusha. Our third panelist is a professor in the Department of Materials Science and Engineering. He's also a role model for the Academia for Society and Industry at the Nelson Mandela African Institution of Science and Technology. In a quest to figure out what impact does his PhD in chemical engineering have in his community, he and his wife founded Gongali Model Limited, where they're developing products that solve challenges using business models that make his innovations affordable in his community. He is the inventor of an award-winning, low-cost, sustainable water filter, nanofilter. He's the winner of 20 awards, including the Africa Prize for Engineering and Innovation, the WHO Health Prize, and honorary fellowship from the Institution of Engineering and Technology for his nanofilter. He has published over 50 articles and 2 books. It is my pleasure to welcome you, Professor Askwa. So without further ado, I would really like us to dive into the heart of the matter for the discussion today. And this is looking at your sectors. So we have a representation here from the agribusiness, we have the education sector, and we also have WASH, which are part of what this challenge is trying to address. So we understand that COVID-19 has affected enterprises locally and internationally and called for moments of pivoting. Solution So I will give it to Professor Askwa for obvious reasons to start, and then we'll follow with Hadija and then Nisha. Karibu.
Thank you very much. I'm so privileged to be given this golden opportunity. So I'm so grateful. At last, I'm in the plane one more time. When Corona hit, I was in London, and the cases were around 85. So anyway, I thank God that I'm here, and this audience is waiting to hear something from us. I'm so grateful. Thank you very much. Now, when Corona hit, it was a big challenge to us. But one advantage that we had, it was the kind of customers we are serving. These are local people because we are providing water to our community. So it's more of a community-based innovation. And so what we were to do is to follow the government regulation on the hygiene and all those things that should be done. And also we improved our delivery because most of the customers were hurt also, those who were in tourist business and so on, their financial muscles were a little bit affected. So we provided different ways of coming closer to them, like delivery, free delivery to their homes. We deliver water and the filters. And also we introduced the bigger models for the filters for the schools and the institutions at an affordable price. So it was more of our negotiation. We sat at the table with people, some ask for discounts, we give them discounts. Certain organization, like a certain Muslim organization that wanted many filters for their communities, and we provided them at a discount price. These are the approaches that we used. But our other activities that involved international partnership were really seriously affected. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll have a follow-up question, but for now, I'd like for the other panelists to answer the same question.
Thank you so much, Eku. It's really a great honor to be here. Actually, when Faraja invited me, I said, no, I can't come to Dar. I have things to do in Iringa, and she insisted. She's really persuasive, and finally I am here. But Corona came as a surprise. In our case, we were planning to see 2020 as our year. We got funding from the Netherlands government. We just got the equity investor. So things were like it will all start by 2020. We finished the inception phase. We were about to go to full implementation of the project, which was on the pipeline. But on February, we heard about Corona in Europe, and we were mainly depending on export market. But as much as Tanzania was not largely hit by Corona and there were no restrictions like in other places, for us who were depending on export market, effects of Corona were ours, like direct ill. We were importing raw materials and packaging materials from neighboring countries. Supply chain was somehow broken. Logistic costs went up. And at a certain point, we just found ourselves at a point where we had no option than closing our business. But we closed our doors for 6 months, and it got to a point where we said, we can't keep on waiting until the situation gets better. We were depending on export market. Yes, the future was so bright and promising, but what are we doing to come back to local market? Which resources do we have at Jibri, and what can we do to utilize the resources which we had at that point? So we decided to come back to the local market, and we introduced the new crops to our portfolio. Now we are buying up to 10 metric tons of bananas from Rungwe. We are ripening the bananas in our own cold rooms. Of course, you have to turn it to temperature. And we are distributing bananas to vegetable and fruits vendors in Iringa. We are looking forward to go to Dodoma and coming to Dar, possibly before mid next year. And we are seeing like this was the opportunity which was not there, which was there, of course, but we were not looking at it. So for us, I think Corona made us to rethink our strategies. And the second thing which I did was to start a new business. So now I have a startup, and we are now looking at the agri-tech area. And I'm so happy to see Adam. He was one of the people I consulted earlier, and so many other faces here. So yeah, those were the impact, and that is how we try to navigate the impacts of COVID-19.
Thank you very much, Alida. Karibu Nisha.
Yeah, so I think everyone's seen how the education sector has been really affected by this around the world. I mean, an unprecedented, over 1 billion kids were out of school at one point. And still, in many countries across the continent, kids haven't returned to school. There's questions about, whether some of these students ever will return to school, especially girls. So the sector has been hit really hard. we as Ubongo, I wouldn't say we were lucky, but we were well positioned to be able to kind of be resilient through this, and in some ways had to really take a step up, because we went from something that was, we always thought of ourselves as supplemental, what kids watch on the weekend that complements what they're doing with school, to this expectation that now we're delivering the education that many kids are going to get for a while. So I would say we didn't change a lot of what we did in that sense, except for try to take what we already had that worked and expand it much farther, and try and find ways to produce and respond much more quickly than we were used to doing. So the biggest change we made was, I think, transitioning to a more, we've always been pretty open, but an even more open sharing model. So we put all of our content within kind of the week that schools closed in Tanzania under a Creative Commons non-commercial license, so that anyone could take and use it for non-commercial purposes. And we had launched a platform too, where schools, topic, age, or what technology they have, download it and use it for themselves, as well as distribute it more broadly. So we had a lot of partners like Wezo and other people who were maybe going out to communities for other reasons, but were then able to help distribute our content, because we made it much more easy to access. Negotiate with the broadcaster and whatnot, and in some ways, the fact that we couldn't do that anymore helped us transition to a different process, where we could do agreements via emails, and then we even set up our kind of a self-service platform, so that anyone with a TV, radio station. So for us, that was something we got a lot of resistance from partners, because they question, what's the sustainability if you're openly sharing stuff and kind of making it free. There's no barriers to entry and all of that, but we felt it was an important thing to do. And actually, to be honest, it's made us much more resilient, if not sustainable, because now with everything that's going on across the continent, one TV station gets shut down by a government, or just goes out of business because of COVID, frankly, and we're on another one, or one platform gets blocked and we're on another one. So it's allowed us, having that very open sharing and allowing anyone who wants this to use it, means that now we're in enough places that we really can be resilient.
Wow, thank you so much, everyone. I have a lot of follow-up questions, but in the interest of time, I'll keep mine to one to each of you. I would also like to invite the audience, if anyone has a question, and also the audience that's joining us live. I believe we have an audience on Zoom, so if Jessica or Mohammed could help us, if there are any questions that are being posted online, if you can also share them with us. We'd like to take at least one from the online audience. So to follow through, I have a question. I think I'll start with you, Nisha. You've touched on a lot of important things, and I really like what you said. You thought what you're doing is so important because it's education, it's to kids, and you had to figure out a way to still deliver that to the kids. But I would imagine, as an organization, there was a lot of pressure, because yes, schools were closed, so suddenly the role of the parents was, sort of shifted overnight. A parent had to become a facilitator of knowledge. You had a lot of things to deliver on tighter timelines, because deadlines for an entrepreneur are nothing really. But this was a different kind of pressure. There was real fear. So what would you say in your organization, perhaps it's the organization culture, what sort of ways have you been able to create an organization culture that has helped build that resilience?
Yeah, so I think at the beginning of the pandemic, kind of when March into June, July, when schools reopened, in many ways it kind of strengthened our culture as we had to adapt, because we're all working from home. We have teams spread across 8 countries in Africa, and we were, before that, kind of struggling. How do we make all these people who now, are in other countries and not in our HQ here in Dar, part of the team? And then all of us having to go online actually kind of put everyone in the same position, and I think we were all in it together. We kind of knew the importance of what we were doing, and we were able to really push together. And it was difficult, but it really had this feeling of kind of like unity and bonding, and like really kind of coming together to do something incredibly difficult, but that we knew we were kind of best positioned to do. So I'd say in some ways, it kind of strengthened the culture. We were lucky that we already had these kind of online collaboration systems set up, which I think a lot of organizations didn't. So that transition was a little bit easier. I think it's actually been more difficult in the past couple of months. We're now trying to manage, we distribute in 18 countries nationwide, and you've got a completely different situation in each place. And so trying to kind of navigate that and manage it has been difficult, and we don't necessarily have team in all places. And then here in Tanzania, we've had struggles, I think, as you know, Iku, because I had to cancel on something a couple of weeks ago. I mean, we had COVID cases in our office about 6 weeks ago. We had to shut down the office. It was a real struggle to get people tested. And I think just difficulties because people felt there was this kind of like, we had to really show that we were there for the team. I think a breakdown sometimes in trust in institutions. So how can we make sure that we're there for each other? So that was something difficult, but it was really, again, amazing how the team kind of came together, supported each other in terms of like contact tracing everyone who'd been in our office here in Dar, making sure that we kind of were able to deal with that kind of a crisis, and then, which was more internal, right, than external. And then I think also the past couple of weeks have been really difficult for people because we do all of our work online. We're using the internet to support learning for not just kids in Tanzania, where our usage online in Tanzania, we have 300,000 users, and that dropped by 93% in the past month due to the situation here. So that was a big blow, and then our ability to continue delivering these services to 16 million kids in other countries who depend on our content was really affected. I think people were really frustrated, and we did invest in things like we've got now a benefit of basically access to counseling and therapy, and interestingly, I've heard the most response to it kind of in the past couple of weeks, just people needing to feel like they have someone to talk to kind of deal with the different situations that have been going on here. So we're just trying to really figure out how do we stick together and kind of navigate, because it's not just COVID, other things are going to come along that can be really difficult for a team, and I think that we're never going to go back to exactly what we were before, because we used to be a bunch of people in a room in Dar es Salaam, and now we're spread out across the continent, but we've still got to figure out now how do we build some kind of a remote culture that can support people across kind of like whatever the disruption may be, right? Whether it's COVID, whether it's political, whether it's we've got someone in Nigeria dealing with the end-SARS protests there right now, someone in Ivory Coast, and the situation there is very tough. So figuring out how can we be there for the team, really beyond work, but throughout everything.
So I'll take it back to Professor Hilonga. You mentioned that because of the crisis, obviously your clients were impacted, so meaning their spending power was probably affected as well. And so you resorted to delivering the water for free later on, or how are you making up for that cost?
No, it was not for free, but at a discounted price. So, and then the delivery was for free, but they pay for water. We are so grateful to the government of Tanzania, because during this difficult time, boost our performance. They gave us we call gutas, and the motorcycles and so on. So and there are many young people who were jobless, sorry to say so, tourist companies. So we had many volunteers, many young people. I'm so sorry, this is sad actually. So they were available. So they want to give their time, they are available. So what we have to do is just to give them a small tip of a little bit of transport, food, just a little support. So we had facilities to deliver water. I don't know if you wanted me to talk more about that, but it's a local community, very friendly, and people understand, One thing about this corona issue is a worldwide issue, so people have same understanding, same sympathy to each other and consider it. Literally, one day I met a teacher who was almost about to cry because he has lost his job, his life is tough, and the situation is, people are picking up, and I'm glad it is becoming a history now.
Wow, thank you. We really hope it is history. What I'm learning from Nisha and Professor Hilonga is for any budding entrepreneur here or joining us online, it's not always about the money. Sometimes you need to figure out how to deliver your impact at somebody else's cost, I don't know, or somehow it's a posted cost, I think. So today is also the start of the 16 Days of Activism. It's also the start of the Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is being hosted for the first time by the Tanzania Startup Association in collaboration with the Global Entrepreneurship Network. So I think even launching this challenge today is such an important milestone. It's actually very timely to be launched today. Back to you, Hadija. I would like us to look at the angle of this impact for women. Because there's evidence that's showing that such crises or even other previous disease outbreaks, eventually it's the women who are hit hardest. So I know in your area, agribusiness, and you deal with smallholder farmers, who I believe most of them are women, and I know in your company you have at least 95% of your employees being women. So in such a crisis as this, how has your business, or are there any specific things that you are doing in your business to ensure that these women have some sort of cushioning to bounce on?
Thank you, Iku. It's very true. Of course, women are caretakers, but even if someone who is earning income in the family, it's a man, but if that income by any reason is disturbed, it goes back to a woman. As a company, we are 95% of our employees who were working at our park house were women, and these are mothers, they have families, but also majority of our smallholder farmers are women. And when we were pushed to stop what we did first was to make sure we had our own produce on the ground, and we lost it all because we were growing non-traditional crops. Catherine, so I'm sitting on a board with her, and they were discussing about it. And it's the same for those women. It's like they could not get the local market. Tourism industry and service industry was also affected. So even though they wanted to sell French beans or snow peas to the hotels, they could not do that. So what we did was first to buy their produce. We compensated them for what was on the ground. But something else which we were doing even before COVID-19 was to make sure we partner with other organizations to capacitate these women, just making sure they're not only thinking of working with Jibri selling French beans, they can think of livestock, they can think of other businesses, and at least when something like this happens, they are not in a bad position. They can still keep on feeding their families. And I'm really grateful with the support of MEDA. We kept on supporting these women. We have 200 women. And
Thank you. Is the audience still with us?
Question getting to the more about your project. What the nature of the community you are serving? The size?
So for asking that question, I was really looking forward to that question because it will give me an opportunity to pitch about my business. Who knows who is listening here and somewhere else. So I have £1,000 support. I don't know where else you can get this money on earth. So I'm so grateful. With this, we are providing clean and safe water to people, and now it's around 300,000 people, and mostly are the people in the underserved. So we put filter kiosks where we employ the local entrepreneurs. Majority are ladies, maybe around 9 kiosks, and they sell to the community. So it's a business opportunity for them, but they are also serving their community by providing that service. And also in Zambia, we have 20 stations in Zambia and in Kenya. So it's a small business growing rapidly. Next year we have a giant project. I don't know if you will ask me that question or I just say it. So we want to establish 1,000 water stations next year. This is an ambitious, I have been in this business 27 to 1,000. It's next to impossible. But we are so grateful for many partners who are ready to hold us on their hands, who has decided to run across Africa, literally, from Alexandria in Egypt to Cape Town in South Africa. Literally, she will be running. So she was looking for a filter to install all along the way to provide clean and safe water in many villages across Africa, from Alexandria to Cape Town. I think it's an exciting mission. So I welcome the Embassy of Netherlands and UNDP and all partners here, HDIF. Don't leave us alone to these very giant projects, and everyone who is here, Seed Space. What we are doing is biogas. We provide a cow dung-based biogas. This from cow dung. So that time we were training people to build the biodigesters and also to the organic fertilizer. So again, it is a project that's time.
To get you through, one step in front of the other, to be able to lead your organizations, to be able to lead people. I mean, I think what I heard from everyone was that it is about the people in your team and in the communities that you work with. So personally, how have you been leading? What have you done to get through this challenge that could help those of us in this room that are still trying to figure out this leadership space?
Okay, I can start. Yeah, I think it's being more compassionate with your team. Of course, I was doing that even before COVID-19, but to them, sharing them the vision I have, but also encouraging them, like, this is just a season, we'll figure it out. You just need to believe in me, even in those moments when situations like these ones. I remember when we were 0.6 million euros, we have never even got 500K grant support before. How are we going to get that? And for me, it was like, you just need to believe in me. You just need to pray. This will come. If it is ours, nothing will stop it. And it happened. So even during Corona time, for me, it was, let's hold hands. Let's just find ways. Let's think of how we can navigate the impacts of COVID. And even when I introduced to them, like, we can go into agri-tech. We have been doing that with Jibri. And maybe let me take these few minutes to pitch my business, just like what Professor did. Okay, we developed a traceability management software. We are seeing bring in innovators. We just need to learn what others are doing out there. And you need to believe in me. I will go, I will do it. I will learn from it. And I traveled, I came to Dar, I went to Ubuntu Hub, I went to Kilimanjaro. And when I came back, I told them what I learned, and they were in full support. So for me, I think it's just being a compassion leader, caring about people more than how you care about the revenues. And it really works if you do that.
Fantastic. Copy and paste. But again, the projects that were run by women, I think women are more compassionate, and even those countries they are saying that were led by women in this time of COVID, maybe they are very successful. So I'm grateful for our CEO, Ruth, and I think women are very suitable for this time. They understand better than men. Sorry to mention this.
I'm hearing everyone in the organization, that we're hearing our users and their customers, and so finding ways to understand what their concerns are, and same with our partners, which, to be honest, at the very beginning I wasn't great at, because like when you're in go, go, go mode, it's just like, this is what we have to do, we've got to do it, and I think now we've been able to take a step back, and in some ways, like switching to this listening orientation. Okay, even when we're in the office together, you feel like you're being inclusive because you're in one big room and everyone's there, but it's not necessarily true that everyone's voice is being heard. And I think at a time like this, it's so important for people to be heard, and also so important for you kind of as a leader to hear everyone. So we just finished like a week of, we've been setting our 2021 strategy. We're redoing it, right? Because everything's changed this year. And I think it was the best kind of strategy setting we've ever had, because we had small groups do kind of brainstorming with their own boards and bring that in, and it's been incredibly inclusive, because by having people be remote, we've been forced to figure out how do you actually bring everyone in and make sure their voices are heard. So I think that's been really important. I think you also asked, like, what are we doing ourselves? I mean, exercise is really good. I don't know, like for me that like clears my head, making sure we have had a Zoom workout group. It's now more things are happening in person. Where as Ubongoers, we just like hop on a call in the morning and before work starts, like do a workout together. And I think that was incredible team building, as well as like good for the personal space. Meditation, great. Yeah, I think self-care is super important, and actually sharing that with the team and saying, hey, this is what I did today, what have you done for yourself, kind of keeps people reminding that they have to be able to take care of themselves to take care of others too, and showing, making sure we're sharing that and then hearing what other people's needs are for, having that time to be able to make sure that they're okay so that they can keep doing the really important work.
Wow, thank you. I think that's a very reflective question. Thank you, Catherine Rose, for asking that. And I think I really like the approach that you guys said, and I don't know what Catherine Rose you were doing. It looks like you're always having fun with nice photos. Maybe that's therapeutic? I don't know. Thank you. We have
Two
one
comments,
question
no
from
comments.
online.
Comments.
COVID-19 brought only negative effects to a large extent in Tanzania and Africa in general. New businesses, like what Hadija said, instead of waiting for COVID-19 to disappear, they supplied local market for their produces and supplied banana from Rungwe. That's a big step we all need to learn for sure. The second comment says, we may also try to invest in greener economies as huge part of recovery efforts may help cities grow in future, creating more environmental, I think it got cut off. Thank you so much for those who sent these comments, and we'll still receive more. But I would really love for our panelists if you can give one word of advice to the startup entrepreneurs who are going to be applying to this challenge. So if you could put yourself in their shoes, what is the one thing that you would tell them?
Let me start. Put people first. That is my advice. In everything you write, whichever section of your, normally they will bring different sections to fill out. Any section they bring, if there is an opportunity to mention about people, just tell about people, not money. That's
Things might not, you might be having it to go back to the drawing board. Don't give up.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'd go with what I was saying in the previous comment about listen, like really make sure you're not just stuck in your own head, but you're listening to the people. Be looking for something specific, and of course the people in your team who are all going to be bringing different perspectives to what it takes to be successful.
Wow, thank you so much. Today is only the start. As we're launching this challenge, we have a long way ahead. And I believe we will still have the valuable contributions from all of you to these people who are going to apply and be part of the finalists. We will still be picking your brains and your expertise and your experience. We really like to thank you for being here today and sharing all that you shared with us. Thank you so much. And we will end this panel here, but it's not the end of the event, so I'll welcome back Jessica to continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iku, and the amazing team of panel. That was a great one, isn't it? Was it? I would like to welcome back Innocent Malia, who is the Director General for Seed Space DAR, to tell us more about this program. I know I've spoken few about it, and Ino is going to add more, considering what the panel has also discussed. Innocent, over to you.
Thank you. I've been hearing about the challenge, and of course Faraja has mentioned it. The resilience program is actually aiming at enhancing participants' capacity to recover more quickly in case of any unforeseen event. We'll absorb and startups that have already demonstrated both technical and regional as well. But also we are looking into the startups that have a very competent founding team and of course have a strong team as well. In terms of the timelines, so we are looking forward to have the call for application starting from today, as we will be launching a website that will be used to collect the applications. So the call for application will be launched today until December 31st, and then we'll be having some interviews with the startup that will be selected. So we are looking into having at least 20 startups for the bootcamp. The bootcamp will be held between 18th of January up to 22nd of January. And then after the bootcamp, we'll be having a follow-up program, which will be actually starting from February until April. And then we're also expecting that these startups that we're gonna win, they will showcase their products or their solutions during the Innovation Week in 2021. So at the end of the day, what we are looking for also, the startups that are going to win, we have set aside, partners have set aside funding up to $90,000 US that will be distributed or will be given to these startups. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Innocent. I would like to move forward with the next agenda of our program, and that is a word from our partners. We wouldn't be here today without our partners. So I would like to welcome on stage Joseph Manirakiza, the Country Director for Human Innovation Development Fund, HDIF. Joseph.
Well, good morning, everyone. I guess I'm one of the most excited in the room. I've been seeing this happen after so many calls and exchanges and angry words with the innocent as this one. Maybe just quickly why we thought that this particular challenge was very important. I think Innocent and Faraja have done a great job to actually talk about it, why it's here in the component. But if you recall, at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, we had called another. So that particular was basically about who is responding to COVID and what actually can cause. So we've been discussing, and UNDP came on board and Dutch Embassy. So we decided that we can do one which is going to be looking at the resilience and recovery. So what we are looking at is just not about the recovery and the resilience with just those particular startups, but as Dr. Salah has mentioned, that generally businesses and enterprises in Tanzania actually suffered during the crisis. Much as the health of people was kind of spared a little bit, but everyone is still kind of recovering from that. So if we can get business models or some which are doing something which is really innovative in this particular area, but we're not seeing them. So and then they can actually be seen. And in the process, we kind of build also some kind of database. If you go to this particular challenge, these are kind of businesses that we saw, and then it can actually be easy for other partners to actually be able to see them. So we basically were very much excited about this, and one more important thing that I'm excited about is this kind of partnerships. As you know, HDF as a program is going to end. We're also building a foundation for another program who are working on another innovation program, and we are basically we're kind of inputting into that, and they are going to take the legacy of HDF, inclusive and including more partners. So for us to be working with more partners and bringing this continued discussion is very important, and we believe that we are doing a great job. But on top of that, something that I'm also seeing which is coming up is, in the past, I think we used to see hubs kind of competing against each other. So the fact that we managed to have Seed Space and Dr. Hub actually work together, they have been working together in other places in some areas, so we can. So I think, as we say, we are kind of building the same house, don't have to fight against who takes what. So this is very important, and I think that's something that also is going to be more of like one of the results of this kind of challenge. So as I say, it's not just a once-off challenge, it's going to be continuing, and it's going to build some kind of foundation pipeline to what's coming next. Lastly, before I take 2021, and what you have seen in 2020, you thought 2020 was big. This one is going to be much bigger and probably much better. Quite a number of partners are also working on making it sustainable. So after I call upon Sergio to say something from the UNP side, and then Matt, you can also follow after that. Thank you very much.
sorry. So if I start again, but Dr. Kas really excited to know that the innovation ecosystem worldwide. A couple of months ago, I remember there was a very, UNDP has embarked worldwide in innovation labs, and in fact, Tanzania was one of the, I think, 40 countries around the world that implanted a lab in the country office of Tanzania. It has been, for me, an incredible learning on innovation, and I just am definitely triggered by the theme of the challenge, because COVID itself, it's represent such a big challenge and such a big change, and change and innovation, they go together. So I believe that we are really looking forward for the results in March of these, and COSTECH, of course, it's a very valuable partner for all of us, and we are glad that they are with others.
Kingdom of Netherlands.
Is not about being strong. It's not even about staying on your feet all the time. Resilience is about getting back up again even after being knocked down, and to keep moving forward. Company 19 on small businesses highlighted that actually growing. Quite intrigued. What made them different? What is the secret behind their COVID-proof business model? Was it sector related? And supporting this challenge. Well, the Netherlands is startups worldwide. We have even have our king's young brother, Prince Constantine. He leads Startup Delta, and that's a key accelerator of startups ecosystem in the Netherlands. But our goal is not only to strengthen our own ecosystem, but also to strengthen ecosystem beyond borders, worldwide. So that's why last month we're sitting.
Be very selfish with them. So to start, Saha, please come on stage. This is for you. No one. This is so. Thank you so much. Winston, you can take your seat back.
Right away. But
Asante sana Muhammad Day. Asanteni sana kwa kushiriki. Those who are on the right hand of from where I'm standing, karibuni.